All right, welcome back to Finding Truth podcast on Unscripted Truth TV here on YouTube. Logan here with Austin as usual, and fresh off the latest NASCAR race ended just a little while ago. Um, got the second playoff win for Denny Hamlin and Gibbs. Well, not the second win for Gibbs, but I think was this the fourth win for Gibbs. But yeah, the second for Denny himself. Picked up his 60th win with his sixth win, wasn't it too?
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Yeah, so get those sixes in there. But
Yep.
So a historic night for Denny Hamlin there. But we'll talk about where we saw things last week and why we made the predictions we made, because there was one interesting thing that I mean, there's multiple interesting things that happened in the race, but one thing that seemed very well, I would say two things that were major that seemed very So we'll discuss those and see what that means moving forward, as far as at least as far as our narratives and who we think, what we see moving forward in the playoffs, what that means for them, the implications, if you will. We'll also look ahead to next week, and we got Talladega coming up, and look at some previous winners, look at who's likely to pick it up narrative wise and maybe numbers wise, and see what we can pick up on. That's where you guys come in. You guys have had some great contributions and cool things to, a lot of you guys that drop comments or emails and everything too. It's like, what's really cool about it is just that, I'm way out of the loop with like the lore. I'll just call it the lore, the inside track of like what's going on in these people's personal lives and things like that. Like recently, I just got an email talking about a string of miscarriages between like multiple drivers. All their wives had miscarriages around the same time. And I know that's a weird subject to breach at the very beginning of the intro, but I'm just saying, like, things like that, those are not arbitrary, in my opinion, in the world of entertainment and sport and things like that. Especially when the ties to child sacrifice cults are pretty evident in my research. Hearing things like that, where you have a string of these types of things, it's sketchy, sketchy to say the least. But yeah, things like that, they all, they stay in the back of my head or at the forefront, depending on the information, and they all, it blends together to help the pool of knowledge, increase and become clear for people to see things. And so we definitely appreciate all the feedback and cool notes and predictions you guys drop as well. But the second half of our episode, I think we might actually, I don't know if we did. I think that might have been in the after talk we had a little bit. But tonight we're gonna open up this discussion. It's kind of be on the back of what we talked about last week, but a whole different, stream of thought with it. And we're going to be talking a lot about dreams and, well, sleep and dreams. There was a lot we left on the table. We meant to talk about sleep in the aspect of health a lot more, but there was so much to get to with our original topic that we kind of left a lot on the table. So we're going to pick that back up, but also breach the subject of dreams. And I'm sure we'll talk about things in the terms of health as well, but also probably get into some of the metaphysical aspects. I know that there's a lot of people that have different ideas about what dreams are, what they could be, what they're for, what things of that nature. It's a cool subject to talk about. I mean, because it's completely subjective. Everybody, you're not going to sit there and tell everybody what their dreams are. That's not how like dreams work. So it's something that we can all pull together and talk about things. And there's no right answer. I'll say that. But yeah, it should be a fun topic. So kick us off, Austin. How's your week and how you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Yeah, wasn't a bad week. Like I said last week, I was kind of focusing on my health and my stretching, and working on my health problems. Like a week ago, I had, or over a week ago, I had a bit of a cold and stuff, and then I got over that about like by last Sunday, so I was feeling better last Sunday. But still working on my shoulder and stuff, and trying to get that better, and just kind of working on that this week and stuff. And yeah, I was like I said, I was going to the trampoline park. I was there Friday. I was there for like 2 hours. I don't know. It was weird that my elbow started hurting, so I'm like, oh god, this now. So I was like, had to work on that, and I'm kind of feeling better now too. But yeah, just working on all that, fixing all that, and yeah, it's pretty much what my week kind of consisted of. Just a lot of workout stretches, just keeping on, keeping on. I had a little job yesterday, again on TaskRabbit, so I helped someone do a little moving for an hour or so and made a little extra money again. So it's kind of getting that going and stuff, and doing little side things here and there. But yeah, nothing too big this week. Just kind of really just went to the gym Friday, worked out, felt pretty good. So that was a good workout and stuff. So I'm still kind of trying to ease into my upper body because it still all kind of bothered me and stuff. But yeah, other than that, right now, that's pretty much all that's on my plate. Pretty much all that's been going on with me over here. But yeah, it's kind of just about to that turning point in the season where it's starting to get a little bit chilly. It's like 40 degrees right now, or 45. But yeah, it's starting to get a bit colder. Definitely November. It's pretty much winter already, so we're almost there. But yeah, other than that, um, yeah, it's just kind of another week really, but progress and stuff trying to be made and just doing what I got to do. But yeah, I was trying to, like I said, keep up with this race this weekend because we were trying to, now we're in the last weeks, the final weeks, days of uh, the season. Less just 3 weeks to go. So we were trying to kind of really start narrowing things down with this, and this was a kind of this week kind of threw some curveballs, I guess, but I really think the next 2 weeks with Talladega and Martinsville are going to kind of really determine um, the way this all kind of plays out and how the Final Four and what I think after 2 weeks from now, I think Martinsville, I think we can kind of almost probably pick maybe the winner of what we think the Final Four will be for before we get to Phoenix. Depending on what happens these next couple weeks, I think next week with Talladega is going to be very telling as well. Um, this race kind of threw some curveballs. I didn't really see. I'll have to see the highlights tonight because I didn't get a chance to. They didn't even pop up yet from what I seen, so I didn't get a chance to really look over the race. It wasn't really too much of anything. There's the Ryan Blaney tire blowout, and then he crashed, hit the wall. He kind of went out early, so that was kind of a bit of a curveball. I thought he would maybe do decent in this race, and then really there wasn't much going on until towards the end. I know there was what looked to be just complete race manipulation, like we saw a few weeks ago when Chase Elliott won at Kansas. It almost looked like almost something like that, where Ty Dillon basically just stopped on the racetrack and just took out William Byron and just. Then William Byron won stage one, had a chance to win the race. He was like top two all race, top five for sure. Uh, and I really thought he might have had a shot, and then that just took him right out. So that was interesting. There was another big wreck towards the end. There was like 11 cars involved, but yeah, there was quite a few DNFs towards the end. Quite a bit of little bit of late race drama, but all in all, between probably Byron and Larson, pretty much leading pretty much all laps and winning both the stages, and then Hamlin, starting on the pole and then sneaking up there at the end, getting the win, getting his 60th win, his sixth win of the season. So there are a lot of sixes there, and possibly maybe his last win of the season. Kind of seems like maybe that was the point of this race, is to get him in that Final Four, and then just kind of have him there, and then because he's never won the championship of all his years of trying, so just kind of another year to get him in the Final Four and just get him there to just kind of build that hype, that hope. But we'll see what happens at Phoenix. But yeah, he's the only guy locked in right now. But yeah, in this race, I think just it really shook up the points, knocking a lot of people out. You have now you got Penske in last in the seventh and eighth, and then you got a couple Hendrick cars on the outside looking in. All the Gibbs cars are in as of right now, and then Larson's in the top four right now as well. So this is going to set up a very interesting next 2 weeks. for what we've been looking at all year. And it kind of is like, it's just someone obviously is going to make it on points, but it really just depends on who wins the next 2 weeks. Is it, one of the top 8 drivers racing for the championship? Are they going to win, or are we going to get a surprise winner, someone else, or someone that's not in the top 8? Very possible next week, because anyone can really win Talladega, but Blaney's been really good there. Ford's been really good there. So I'm kind of looking at that race to be maybe Blaney's possible last shot. Obviously, he's got a shot still at Martinsville, but yeah, this really sets up for a very interesting next couple weeks. I'm really looking forward to see how this plays out. We've been watching this all year, just seeing how this is going to shake out and what the narrative looks like. And of course, like with Hamlin in there again in the final 4, it makes it very interesting, because he's, like I said, he's always never won the championship, but he's always there. And well, now we're going to have the same thing yet again. Is this his year or not? So this is going to be Talladega. It's going to be an earlier race next Sunday, and then all the other races are going to be earlier, so they'll be done earlier as well. That's gonna make it interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing, like we said, just that Ford narrative. Just right now, them being 7th and 8th, and I just don't feel like that's an accident. They're last right now with 2 races to go to get in. I feel like that's got to mean something, and I just feel like there's a high percentage chance that either Logano or Blaney is going to win one of the next 2 weeks. And trying to get that Ford Pete going. Logano looking for his 4th, Blaney looking for his 2nd. So yeah, very, very interesting next couple weeks coming up. But yeah, this race, there was a bit of race manipulation. Those cautions towards the end kind of changed things, but all in all, we have another race where we have another guy who starts first on the pole and gets another win. There's been quite a bit of that this season, so they really not only are they taking the races down YouTube, don't want you to watch them, but they're not really wanting you to really make any money at the casino place and bet. So good on Vegas, I guess.
I mean, what's interesting, keeping it on theme, is I feel like they kind of show their hand every time they do that. But once again, it's like, for the people who have those sports enthusiastic people in their life, it's rough. It's rough. It's almost like talking to a child, because you have to walk on eggshells when you explain your doubts about things. You can't just go all in and say, I mean, you can, but it's just like, if you're trying to get something to stick into their head, you have to really help them along to be able to see it, rather than just be able to have a conversation, tell them and just shake them awake and say, yo, look at this shit. It's rigged, bro. It's rigged. It's all rigged. And then explain to them, it's just like, why would Vegas be on your side? Why would they make something that's just available for you to just come out a millionaire out of nowhere, or come out, just make $10,000 for doing nothing? Why would they do that for you? Why do you think that that's available for you? Explain the reasons why you think that isn't available out for you. Do you know people that are just like super successful at odds gambling? No, that's not a thing you can be super successful at, because it's impossible to, because the people that created the system wouldn't create it with such a loophole that people can take advantage of it en masse. It can't happen. And I mean, no matter how much movies they make of, like the guy on the hot streak at the casino, and then he gets a visit from the guy upstairs in the camera room, being like, oh, hey, why don't you visit the lounge for a little bit, buddy? Why don't you stop? It's like, so even if you were winning the right way, they don't just let you keep winning. You can't just, even if you were to get lucky, let's just put it that way, extremely lucky, they won't allow you to continue to be lucky. You can't. The reason it's a trope is because you cannot beat the house. The house being the system they built. They built the system. They built the house. You don't know where all the trick doors and closets are. They have the blueprint. So to think that you can go in there and just become the owner of the house is just ridiculous. Yet you have the average person thinks that. It'd be one thing. You're never going to just, dissuade the guy who wins the million. He's always going to be a stand for gambling because he won with it. But you have these guys that'll, blow a portion of their paycheck every week and still hold it up and think it's like legit, along with the sport that they blow their money down at the bars buying super expensive beer and, good. Like I said, it's hard enough trying to explain this to these people, but you have something, like you said today, we've been noticing these trending things where there hasn't been a lot. We've been calling races, and at the earlier in the season, you were even betting on races and even won some straight up, and they didn't even like pay well. Like calling the winner doesn't even like, not even necessarily the pole winner or anything like that, but they have been very keen on not making sure that a lot of money, like I'm sure in order to win in NASCAR really good this season, you'd probably have to parlay. You would have to parlay because like you said, so often the pole winner or the second in pole wins the race. That's going to affect their odds, all sorts of things. It's just been very somewhat cookie cutter when it comes to the odds. Not to say that calling the race a week in advance isn't crazy, because I'm saying the pole doesn't happen until the day before the race. So I'm not taking away anything from our calls. Our calls come from a week before. But yeah, they've been very stingy, like you said. And you have a race today where we have this narrative building, and it looks like there could be something here with one of the drivers that we pick. And okay, so two of the drivers we talked the most about. What's funny is we talked about three drivers mostly. We talked about Byron. If you guys were paying attention, or if you guys were with us last week, we talked about Byron in the because you had a weird circumstance where Tennessee are at Las Vegas today in the NFL. The Titans are playing the Raiders. So we thought that there was an interesting narrative there. Funnily enough, it could just be a coincidence. Okay, whatever. We're just crackpots. But the Raiders won right before Blaney got randomly, Ty Dillon just stops in the middle of the road and leaves Byron. And anybody who has seen the clip, you have it because I'm not sitting here saying, oh, Byron is, he was just racing a clean race. And he races for Jeff Gordon, who's openly admitted that there's manipulation. Actually, multiple times. I saw another one where he said it in another way. Funnily enough, too, you had sorry, I keep going on tangents, but just last week, whose pit crew? Someone's pit crew chief came out and said in a certain way that there's race manipulation, and as long as there's race manipulation, that you're going to have weird outcomes. I'm like, what? Wait, what? Okay. But anyway, so yeah, like we said, William Byron was someone we were looking at just because of the whole Tennessee connection. That I won't explain it all right this minute, but funnily enough, like I said, he DNFs right after the Titans lose, and the other guy we talk a lot about before I get to the winner was Ryan Blaney. And if you guys have been following us, this is one of those moments. This is kind of testing our hypothesis or our call here, because we've been talking all along that it's honestly one of the only problems I've seen with our narrative is that Ryan Blaney's been there. He hasn't had he's been in the top 5 all year. So it's not like a crazy call to put Blaney in the playoffs or in the championship. I've said that, I think just a couple of weeks ago. I was like, man, my call is looking more and more cookie cutter. To me, I would say, say Blaney wins, you would have a bunch of people being like, yeah, okay, good call. So you called Blaney to win. He's been there all year. Wow, what a crazy call. Well, now what? Now when he's on the brink of elimination and you have a race like today where in the very first leg he just blows a tire and crashes out, and now he's dead last in points, dead last along with his Penske teammate, who, if you guys know, this is where I'm saying it's testing my hypothesis, because my hypothesis honestly, I was beginning to lean towards Logano because he would represent that dark horse a lot better than Blaney. But now Blaney's put in that situation where he can, rise back up and retake his spot when a lot of people have probably gotten off of him because he hasn't been racing that strong and this, that, and the third. So as much as it is a test of our narrative, it's actually almost required for our narrative because our narrative was becoming like the only thing our narrative was really missing was the adversity. Because to be a dark horse, you have to be like counted out, but never was Blaney counted out. So this, like you said, could be that moment where he's counted out. Now you say he very well could win next week. I just in the back of my head, I'm thinking if this is to come to fruition, I think it'd be very interesting for him to win the last two races, to truly be the dark horse, no counted out until the very end, and then he wins the last two to win. Of course, with Logano actually overtaking him after this race, it's actually very likely that Logano could be the dark horse because either way. And you guys might be on dark horse. I mean, they drive dark horse Mustangs, and we've had this narrative from very early on that they could make a play on Ford winning 4 in a row and call it a Ford Pete and all sorts of. That's not the only reason we've said that, but there's a lot of things pointing towards that we've been tracking all season that have just been like steady, extremely steady. And I mean, down to Ford's having an abysmal season going into the playoffs compared to Toyota and Chevy. They did much worse than Toyota and Chevy all year. So that's another kind of, calling card for them to all of a sudden do much better when it comes to the playoffs. So like I said, up until this week, my hypothesis hasn't really been tested. It kind of looked like I was just riding the coattails of a pretty guaranteed, driver to make it far. But now look at it. Now we got 7, 8. The only Fords left are 7 and 8. So now as nerve wracking as it is, not really. I don't really have any skin in this game other than wanting to flex, if you will, our understanding of where they like to go with these things. And, because the only real good thing to getting these things right is so that at the very least, you could say it's likely that we are on to something. You don't even have to believe us. You could say it's all been luck all season long. We've called like 8 or 9 races, or maybe even more. Actually, it's crazy how many we've called. You could say it's all just luck. Let's just say you think it's all luck. You could at least then begin to believe that like there's something to us at least understanding the narratives. At least understanding the narratives more than the average beat writer that just, is talking about, oh man, tell you what, the crew chief's really hanging his head down there in that garage, and he was really getting on them boys, and you have the left tire operator, and he has a busted thumb. You could sit there and listen to all that crap, that garbage that they just fill time space, like time with, and like make it, it's in every sport. In every sport, just like the weekdays are slow, they just give you tons of bullshit to make you think that you have an edge. Oh, wow, I got really inside reports. Oh, I know what's going on. The fact that people still think this way is actually abysmal. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like this is for those people, or at least for the people who are on the fence about even this being something you can predict. That's why, that's the only skin in the game I have as far as getting it right. I want to prove that, yes, this is something that you can predict, and I shouldn't have to. Hopefully you guys already know about the GOAT, Zach, over at Gematria Effect News. He's been doing this for a long, long time now, well over a decade. And year after year, you see his picks come to fruition, and you see what they're centered around. The only real specialty we have in this arena is that he doesn't do NASCAR. I think he does the big races, but other than that, he hasn't really like seen or touched NASCAR. So you have two guys, me and Austin, coming in. Austin with a lot of experience and knowledge base around NASCAR, and obviously he's great at numbers too. And then me coming in with like this narrative based mindset from the, like I say, I call it my sports center brain, and just fusing those two things. We have come in here and dude, I'm telling you, we have a bead on this seat. I don't know if this is just how NASCAR is, guys. I'll be honest. This is my only soiree into NASCAR is this year. I've never really paid attention to it. I've mentioned this multiple times, but just to come in here and call 8 or 9 or maybe double-digit races that we have, I'm talking winners. I think it does pay. It does prove that we have our finger to the pulse of what they're doing with this sport this season. And, we do more than just talk about the sport itself. We go outside of the sport with, all the narratives that have been playing out, lawsuits, deaths, all these things, and what they mean, politics combining in on it, other sports combining in on it. So anyway, the goal is to wake up the normie in your life, or even if it's you, I'm not calling our viewers normies necessarily, but if you have those doubts, which I understand having those doubts, it's not easy to give, to really tell yourself that it really is all like that. A lot of people will say, oh yeah, well, the refs are in on it. It's like, bro, so you think you have this whole league where everybody is paid millions of dollars and they all know that the refs are in on it, the guys who can affect the game the easiest, and they just are all happy playing that game? Like, that game's not a rigged game. It's such a weird thing. They always give themselves little outs, like or little concessions is what I would say. That there's concessions in every sport. Oh yeah, with baseball, steroids and all the guys doing insider betting. It's like, but it's not rigged. You think the guys that are in on the game that insider bet, well, they're so when your political leaders, they're all insider trading. But so why not? Why do we trust that system then? It's this. We got to stop with the little concessions that hold up these stupid systems. But anyway, what are your thoughts about anything really, but especially moving into Talladega? I know you have we talked really briefly before we started today, and you have a couple of theories. I kind of mentioned one about Blaney, but what do you see moving forward here?
Yeah, I think like I said, the next 2 weeks, I think, are kind of really, I think we could probably, after Martinsville, when we see the Final Four, who's going to be in it, I think that's going to be very telling. And I think next week as well is going to be very telling as well with Talladega, especially, anybody really being able to win there, being a restrictor plate race in the last restrictor plate race of the year. And I think that, a lot of times there's always, almost every race there's always the big wreck, the big crash. I'm sure we'll get one next week as well. And whoever, gets involved in that, it's going to be, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of drama involved in that race as well. Whoever gets involved in the wreck or the wrecks, if there's multiple, or however it ends. Talladega is always wild. It's always a wild race. You never really know how that's going to play out, because there's just, like I said, it's really just, it's an even race. Really, anybody has a chance. And like I said, I mean, Ryan Blaney's been really good. Their Fords have done really well there. Ryan Blaney had that big win at Daytona, the other plate track. He just won, just popped up there in the last lap, was able to win it there out of nowhere. So he could be doing that again maybe next week, or like you said, maybe he'll wait till the final 2 races or something. Because he is, like I said, he's the only guy to win the championship and not win that final race. And that was a couple of years ago when Ross Chastain won that race, and then Blaney finished second. We might see something like that at Phoenix, although I feel like maybe this year, again, it's going to be kind of probably down to those whoever's in the final four will probably most likely win that race, but I could be wrong. But I really feel like the wild card of all this is going to be next week. And Martinsville being a short track, I mean, you can always get, drama and a lot of different stuff that happens there. So don't count out Martinsville either at being heavy race manipulation. But I really think next week, depending how the big crash goes or who's going to be in it or how it's going to play out, I really feel like that's going to be once we see who kind of gets knocked back. Because then you go into Martinsville and it's like, okay, well, and then you see if it, now it's like, okay, well then this guy or whoever has to get a win, or you have to win Martinsville or hope you have enough points to make the final four. So I could see next week really being very telling. And like I said, our narratives are, I feel like with being seventh and eighth, like I said, I feel like that's really pushing for a win in the next 2 weeks. I definitely could see. And like I said, maybe next week it won't be somebody in the top 8 that wins. I mean, I could see that definitely next week. It could be one of those races and then you only have one race for someone else to get in, then 2 people have to get in on points. That could make more drama as well. So, because so far, I mean, 6 of the 7 races have been won by guys in the playoffs, and Ginsburg was in the beginning, but then he got knocked out in the first round. So last week's win didn't really do anything for him. So, but even he could have a great finish at Talladega because it's just that kind of race. So I think that, like I said, about by the time Martinsville is over in 2 weeks, I feel like we see that final four. We know Hamlin's in it. That's the only person we know that will be in it. So we got 25% of the picture there, but yeah, it's going to be one of those. The next 2 weeks are going to be very interesting. And I think that, like I said, the way they set it up for this week with Ford being down and out, I just don't see how there's not at least probably one Ford in that final four, at least the way I'm seeing it right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's yeah, like I said, I mean, I tried to be thorough with my ideas there, but yeah, I'm with you there, and I almost I was gonna say that would be very interesting too is to have back-to-back Ford wins here. That'd be like another spin on what our narrative, but I think another thing you touched on too was Larson being able to advance without a win, and I do see that happening, and that they love their little differences. They like to have these little nuances that they can talk about as far as showing either a flaw or an advantage to their playoff system or whatever system they have. We had that with Gisbergen, who you just mentioned. He obviously had a great season as far as wins go, but was pretty much cooked from the start without a road course until well into the playoffs. So you have, that's an example of, the system, potentially being good for a driver, but at the same time, it's a consolation prize just to make it into the playoffs, just to be eliminated in the first round. Doesn't really do much, for you as although, he can rest his head saying he had a great season, sure. But I don't think they'll be talking about saying Van Gisbergen's great season, when someone's hoisting the trophy on November 2nd, whatever it is. Yeah. But let's see here. With oh yeah, there was one. We were talking about it. This is something we brought up before. That one of the interesting parts of the whole narrative. And granted, the dark horse model Mustangs have been around for a little while, but you could just see we've done very well to highlight just how the Jesuit orders fingerprints, their numbers have been all over almost every single county and racetrack across the country, and in Mexico. So it's very, we've talked about this. It's worth, going into it maybe in the off season, doing a deep dive into like the founders and where it's gone and where it started and who because I guarantee you'll find like the land that these tracks are on are, there's something to it. And that's a whole nother discussion, but why I bring that up, just so you're not thinking I'm arbitrarily Jesuit order. What are you talking about? Well, keep in mind too that you got the France family who founded NASCAR too. So keep that in mind that Jesuits are from France. It's a funny little play on things. But yeah, if you just check out the numbers here, Jesuit order, and then you take a look at Dark Horse, and why we talk about Ryan Blaney and the Dark Horse is just because like it just seemed, a perfect fit. You got the 45-54 connection, 54, 153, and 144 all are big players. And when we talk about the Jesuit order, those numbers are a lot, they're calling cards. So with 72, I would maybe argue 72 is a little bit more, but that 144 is very special to them. And anyway, so one quick thing is Talladega does equal 54, so that's something to think about. But as far as moving forward next week, I guess we can do a little bit of a comparing birthdays and things. So that's what we talk narratives or whatever else you see moving forward. I mentioned her before we started, and it's not like we came to a conclusion about it, but what do you think what do you think, because we do understand and believe that these races are rigged. So what would be the implication? What would be the reason I talked really quickly about it potentially being just to move money off of people being high on Ryan Blaney making it to the championship. But what do you think, his race today or his DNF today early on and his fall from second to eighth, what do you think that signifies, if anything? What do you think they're trying to do with that narrative wise? If not to have him come back, do you think it could be to just have him bow out? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and just kind of divert attention off him right now too. I mean, just kind of, and it depends, like I said, whether he wins like Talladega or Martinsville, where he gets that win and he's in the round of four. I mean, it's just, and that's just the thing with the way they've done these, and the way they construct these playoffs and the way NASCAR does all this stuff. Compared to like the old Winston Cup format where it was just the most consistent car all year won the championship and you saw the points. And I mean, you used to be able to win the championship. You could win it with maybe 2 races to go because you had such a big point lead. All you have to do is start the race and you're the champion. You got like a 500-point lead. No one's going to catch you in 3 races. So it's like, now it's like 3 races to go. It kind of, and it, it's like you said too, like we've talked about, just the way it's been mainly Toyota and Chevy leading the way, dominating all year, and then you just had the Fords have their races here or there where they've done well or got wins or had success. Like last time we were at Talladega was 2 days for my birthday. That was April 27th. That was won by Austin Cindric. That was a Penske car. Penske could go 2 for 2 at Talladega. They won Daytona. Then you had William Byron win the other Daytona. So you had a Hendrick car win. You had 2 Penske cars win. So, yeah, it's just, and with the way the playoffs are, it's just with the way you just win and you're in, it adds that, now it's like everybody looks at like Logano or they look at Blaney like, oh yeah, they have to win. So now it's showing that narrative like, okay, well, so they have to get a win. So it's just kind of like teetering the odds versus someone who might make it on points like a maybe a Larson if he makes to the Final Four and doesn't get a win and just makes it on points or something. It does add that, and even the momentum of stuff too. Like you were saying, if Blaney could win the last 2 races, because like I said, he's the only guy to win the championship since they've been doing this way and not win that final race. If he is in the Final Four, does he finally win Phoenix this year? Does he finally win that race, or does he? Maybe he, like you said, he goes 2 for 2. Like he just maybe he gets taken out, DNFs, gets caught up in the big one next week at Talladega, and it's like, oh, he's got no shot going into the last 2 unless he has to win Martinsville for sure. And let's say he wins Martinsville, bam, and all the momentum's on him, and then Hamlin, and then whoever the other 2 are that make it. And then that just punches his ticket to Phoenix. Then he's got all the momentum. He's just coming off that win at Martinsville, and that just carries over there. And then you see the whole ritual really play out. I could definitely see that. And like you said too, it could be Logano as well. It's really hard to say. If I don't know if they're going to put both of those guys in the Final Four like they did last year and battle it out between them. Or maybe just one of them makes it this year. So they're definitely setting it up right now, and that's what I believe. Like they've struggled all year. They've been the worst, manufacturer when it comes to wins and doing well and stuff. And then here they are to start the last round before the round of 4, and they're dead last. So like I said, I just don't see that. I just don't see that being a coincidence at all. I definitely see that being a narrative driver to either build them in one of the next 2 races for sure.
But yeah. Yeah, hard to say, but yeah, no, that'd be very interesting. I mean, one thing I've been, like I said, this is the first real test of our narrative, yet it's almost necessary for what we were, why we have Ford winning it is because of it, them having some sort of adversity. So for Blaney to just squeak in, that's really not what we were saying. So for him to make it in this way, that would definitely qualify it for sure. So very interesting coming up here how they plan on doing it, as like you said, especially if it's a non playoff winner. And another thing you said, this could be a big explosive race too, where you have a lot of crashes, a lot of DNFs. I mean, this could have been like a precursor to the next race with how many DNFs there were and how, the oddities, because the more talking points they have, the more they can talk. So in order to yap, they need their things to yap about. And so you take a race like today, it wasn't very cookie cutter. There was a bunch of strange things that I'm sure will be brought up and mused upon by their talking heads and the beat writers and all those different things. But yeah, that's calling on you, community, to kind of like, maybe I didn't see anyone saying Hamlin could win, but like, never mind that. Let's put our let's go ahead and put our 2020 hindsight goggles on. What are we missing here? What was the tell for Hamlin to win this? Was it his previous win? Was it Vegas in general? It's something that's eluding me for sure.
I think too, something that, like I said, how Ty Dillon took out William Byron. He basically did like I said, he did a reverse Kevin LePage, and that when Kevin LePage did that, I think it was then it was called the Busch Series or Nationwide Series, which is now the Xfinity Series. But he was and Kevin LePage did race in the Cup Series too, but he was coming out of and I think there was another incident too that was like a Kevin LePage, but that's where that joke comes from. Oh, he LePage him, or all the. So basically, he was coming out of pit road, and then the cars were coming, and he just pulled out in front of the field and just like took out the field, wrecked the field. Where it was the exact opposite today. where Ty Dillon's like slowing down or trying to get the pit road, and then how that happened with him and Byron just taking out Byron. And now, like I said, that being at Talladega, I think it was back in like 2008 when he did that or something. But, now with Talladega next week and that LePage right there, that right there could be a ritual signing for next week, or just, I mean, I don't think it's, coincidence that happened at Talladega, and now Talladega's next week. So definitely something to look at.
Yeah, and I did. I don't know if you saw that, but it did say that Blaney did take Martinsville last year. So interesting. Let me just try to bring that back up. Let me see if it was the earlier race or the second. Yeah, he won, or no, yeah, he won the late Martinsville race last year. So they've been loving their repeats this year. So if he loses next week, I would not say down and out. Honestly, maybe that's your only chance to make money on a Blaney ticket. Not that I'm suggesting that necessarily, but it's something to think about. Yeah. But as far as looking ahead to just this next week, I haven't seen anything too outstanding with previous wins and birthdays and things of that nature, but I'll keep looking while we talk about stuff. Because
I remember last time Austin Cindric won Talladega on Austin Dillon's birthday.
Yep. I mean, it's just, and I'm assuming Austin and Ty are what, brothers? Or are they completely not even
Who's that?
related? Austin and Ty Dillon.
Yeah, I'm not. They might be related. I think I can't remember.
Because then you have Austin Cindric and Ty Gibbs. I mean, guys, the name jokes are not there. I mean, we still got two chases right now, so it's like, guys, there's two chases in the playoffs. They're chasing a playoff spot, literally. Come on now. Anyway, I'll look that up. But I think we made a small revelation with Briscoe and Bell. So
yeah, I was just gonna say those two are inseparable.
Let's see. Looks like Bell has not done well at Talladega, so let me look him up. Oh, right, yeah, it's the 13th. On 36 days ago. Moreover, though, what win would this be for Christopher Bell? It's 14th if you were to win next week. Guess I should be looking at that too. We'll see. What about Briscoe? He's not out. In fact, he's doing quite well now after this race. He's got a little breathing room, at least for the moment. Yeah, like 1 day away from his brother Bell. I know what they're up to with these guys. I know you're.
Yeah, they finish together. They finish together every week. 1-2. They're in the standings together. 1-2. You can't stop them.
Mm-hmm.
Stuck like glue.
Oh, they were twins.
pop them off with a crowbar to get them separated.
Take them down a pit road. You. Where? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong. So it'd be his 5th win. Huh. His last win, Darlington on the 31st of August. So 49 days, 7 weeks on the nose. Interesting. Not well. But so who? Wait. Who won? Who won Talladega earlier? You said it.
Austin Cindric won earlier this year.
That's right. That's right. So let me look at him real quick. There's another dark horse. That'd be interesting. September 2nd.
Remember, he almost won Daytona too. He was leading with half a lap to go there, and led the most laps. Led 92 laps. Led the most laps. Was leading with half a lap to go.
His 4th win. It's April 27th. $25 weeks on the nose. Interesting. Not super interesting, but makes enough sense. Okay, well, I guess let's check out the last few dudes here, at least in the playoffs. August 3rd. $11 weeks on the nose since his birthday. What about 288? November 29th. Birthday's coming up. Birthday would be 5 weeks and 6 days later, like NASCAR equals 56. Let's take a look at
Logan O.
Logan O.
Joey Logan Ogie.
The win May 4th. May 4th, like 5-4.
Yep.
Talladega equals 54. So does Dark Horse, interestingly. Yeah, have we said that before? There's no wonder a Dark Horse Mustang won on May 4th. Seems familiar, but guys, the Eagles 4.52, so either way, you slice it.
Yeah.
Huh. Go figure. In 68 days. I don't know about that. And his birthday is May 24th or something like that. May 25th. May 24th. In 48 days. What win was he sitting on?
37, I think. 37.
Yeah, absolutely right. He'd get his 38. His last win was on May 4th, which is okay. How about Talladega? Hasn't won in Talladega since 2018, but he's won there several times. 3 times.
I won on my birthday in 2018. It's interesting. And he won a day after my birthday, year before that.
Seems to do pretty good in April. April's. Look at old Elliott. Look at old William Clyde. Interesting. Five weeks and 5 days. Good old 55 is nice. And
1 month and 9 days for 19.
And he won just a week ago.
Or 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, yeah. September 28th. I'm up 20. Well, how many wins is Chase Elliott sitting on? Oh yeah, there was that little interesting fact to it. I was telling you before we started, I was reading it just dropped like just last week about how potentially Chase Elliott could be out of contention with how low amount of playoff points he's accumulated this season. And it said, little fun stat for you: Chase Elliott's won one stage and one race, and well, now he's won the race in the playoffs too, a couple weeks ago. But up until then, it's just crazy. He's finished very well this year as far as like top tens for sure and top fives. Like he's been in the contention for lots of races, but apparently he has terrible points. So his next win will be his 22nd. Interesting, he's sitting on 21 wins, and he will have won 21 days before.
Yeah.
Has he picked up a Talladega? He has. 2019.
Day before my birthday.
Oh, he's a pretty good.
Everyone's winning around my birthday.
He's a pretty good road course driver, isn't he?
Yeah, you got. I think he had 4 in a row.
Okay, yeah. Watkins Glen,
Yeah.
Watkins Glen, road course. Or not 5? Or no, someone probably won in between one of those. Okay, nice.
Or I think Charlotte was this. That was like the Charlotte 1.5 miles.
Oh, okay. Not a road course, gotcha. Oh, never mind. Yeah, he won it just a few years ago, 2022. Hmm.
On 10/2/2022.
Is there any point in doing this? Sometimes these big numbers got something in there. Couldn't tell you. Well, what about my anniversary? Makes no sense. Guess that we use who? Blaney boy? Or did we already look at that?
Can't remember if we looked at Blaney or not. Thought we did. Maybe not.
September 21st. Now, also another interesting tell. He won the All-Star race, didn't he? Was that the Coke Zero?
He won there I know he won that 2 years ago. He won the Coke 600 2 years ago. Chastain won it this year.
Hold on, let me.
Or the Coke Zero 400. Yeah, that was Daytona. Yeah, he won.
Okay.
That was his last win.
What was the playoff? Or the
He won the last race before the playoffs. He won the.
Yeah, but wasn't there like the All-Star game, or whatever it was? All-Star race?
Yeah, that was the week before the Coke 600. I forgot who won that.
Oh, I didn't go back far enough. Oh, here. Oh, it just called that. Okay. Oh, Bell
Or
won that. Oh,
Bell
okay.
won.
Interesting. Because I was thinking,
Yeah,
I was like,
that was the race. Yeah, that race doesn't count. It's just like
no,
expedition.
I know, but I'm just saying, like in my opinion, it does count for like who wins it and things of that nature. Like I'm sure that there was a purpose for that race and who won it and why they won it. I think North Wilkesboro equals 201 too, by the way.
Logan O got second.
Yeah. Just curious, really. Okay, so that was really early on. Okay. Anyway. September 21st. Okay, so that was 4 weeks ago. What is good old Rainy Boy's birthday? Oh yeah, duh. I'll remember these things eventually. New Year's birthday. Oh, so we're next week will be 2.5 months away from the new year. Jesus. Jeez, oh Pete's.
Calendar year is getting ready to change.
Good old Ignatian calendar. Gotta love it. Was it? Why did I feel like Dark Horse Racing? What's that thing? Can't remember if that was like something a while back. I guess maybe. See, I haven't been putting all their full names in. Let's see their government name. Good old 93. Both Fords sitting 7 and 8.
Yeah. Leggy was in the 78 today.
Just legging out the competition.
Leggy.
I'm curious as like just any mentions of her post game just to compile them. Just I remember reading that one article about how well she did when she finished almost dead last. But it's just they can't say that, so they just have to like act like she did so well. And still, it's not going to probably happen this season at all. More than guaranteed. I don't know if she's even racing in the next few races, but it will come a day. She seems like a candidate. Didn't you say that there was another female driver that is potential to get spots in NASCAR moving forward, or was that an old driver or a recent one? Is Leggy pretty much the poster girl for NASCAR women?
Yeah, there's really no others right now that I know of that are in the main series, and she's kind of because she's got like Leggy's raced in like IndyCar stuff like that, so and she did really well at Indianapolis too because she's raced there in the Indy cars and stuff, so she was doing really good. She's up front leading laps, finished 17th in that race, so she did really well. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if she's going to be in any of the races coming up this year anymore. Because she hasn't been in a lot of races as of late. I think the last one she was in maybe was like Watkins Glen, I want to say, because I haven't seen her in the field in a while, so I don't know if she's gonna be racing at all coming up. But yeah, next year, depending on if she's comes back in the series, should be pretty interesting to see how she does.
Talladega opened in 69. This will be their 113th race. Interesting. Just interesting that they're sitting on 112 when championship is on November 2nd.
Yeah.
So the 113th race at Talladega. Interesting, though. I feel like there's a couple of 113s on the board. I feel like, what was it, Larson? Already forgetting birthdays again. Yeah, 11 weeks and 3 days from his birthday, like 113, the 113th race. Him winning would close out the narrative of a driver getting in strictly on points.
Yeah, someone else would have to get in on points.
Yeah, I mean Larson, yeah. So anyway, let me just highlight this real quick for anybody doing their own digging. Yeah, what do you guys make of this? Of course, we got Hamlin punching his ticket with the win today. Larson, the potential to get in on points only. He's been driving. I mean, he's been finishing very well in the playoffs. Bell getting a big boost, really just off the back of the obviously the poor Blaney performance and the Byron DNF. Although Byron did win a stage, so it kind of kept him in there. Now, we talk about manipulation all the time too. It's just like that could be something I could easily see them pulling out. Like if he were to have won that stage, like that stage ended up being huge, even though like he didn't finish the race. Like I could see that being a calling card. The fact that he did win the first stage of this race, with how important stages are in the playoff picture or point picture. So that's an interesting thought moving forward. See if Byron can overtake one of these guys like Briscoe or Bell. But yeah, honestly, didn't see like a ton, anything outstanding. Like I said, I might be missing something. There might be Alabama connections. Maybe someone went to school at Alabama. I don't know.
Yeah, Alabama's kind of one of those states. I mean, it's like Arizona, Phoenix. You got the Arizona Cardinals. You got the football team, and that's a pretty big state. A lot of people there. Martinsville, Virginia. There's no football team there either, but they do. I know Denny Hamlin's from Virginia, so
Okay.
yeah, and he's won there quite a bit of times. So that'll be interesting to look at next week.
Funny enough, they play Alabama plays Tennessee on Saturday.
Virginia Tech, like Michael Vick.
They're the Are they the Hokies? Something like that. It's like a weird
Yeah,
ass
the
name.
Hokey Pokies.
Hokie. Let's go. He was turning a bunch of people around. That's what
Yeah.
it was all about. Well, interesting. Yeah, because Alabama is definitely the biggest draw, or the football, or the college football is definitely the biggest draw with that state. I didn't know they named the field after Nick Saban. Just wait till the guy dies or something. Jeez. Giving him his flowers. How dare they?
Yeah, it's
Well,
like Alabama, Mississippi. You never really hear from those two states. It's like I don't even know any NASCAR drivers from Alabama or Mississippi. I don't think.
well, there was just
I'm missing someone.
a shooting in Mississippi.
Oh
Had
yeah.
some veterans that they went over and saw how free and free flowing everybody was with their munitions and their weapons. So they come over here and they want to contribute to getting ours taken away. Really makes a lot of sense. I'm sure they went over there and said, you know what? Other countries should have more guns than we have. We should give up our guns for the countries that I went over there and had to fight. That just makes a lot of sense that they always use veterans as like cogs in taking our gun rights away. It's like so antithetical that it's like definitely part of the joke that they would use like a former soldier, because that's what they are, as a linchpin in the idea of taking our rights away. Sorry, that was a little bit of a. Maybe we'll talk about this. It's a growing narrative. The narrative never stops, guys. It hasn't stopped since Clinton and before then, even this narrative's been just nothing but growing, and I know in the last few years, it's just been it's like it's ingrained into our culture now, to where it's memed, and it's people laugh about it, like it's a laughing type of thing because it's so common, supposedly, um, that it's not even considered as atrocious as one would consider it atrocious. Granted, the people in the know, like we've shown, that we've seen enough dummies being presented as real people to doubt, at the very least, a lot of these narratives when it comes to mass shootings and things of the such. So don't sit here thinking we're buying their bullshit. And for anyone that doesn't know, I guess I could pull it up real briefly. Which, by the way, let me pull up Zach's channel, guys. I meant to leave a message. I was just saying, I've been catching up on Zach's videos at work almost primarily, so I feel like I'm so far, I haven't been in chat. I've been in the chat when his videos are live. It's just I can't. I'm just listening on my phone's in my pocket type of deal. But yeah, his videos have been crazy on point. And just like we're talking about NASCAR primarily, these shootings and things are always linked to sports, politics, all these other things, and we were just mentioned Mississippi, so I'm on a little bit of a rant. But what was it? Mass shooting. Was it not Mississippi? Oh, maybe that was a different one. Okay. Okay, that was a different one. And then there was another one. What was the one with the veteran? Veteran. Man, this literally just happened last week. Help me out, guys, in the comments. But there was I don't know what exactly it was. I was going to bring up Zach's video. But it looks like there was a shooting on campus. Four killed. Oh. Yeah. And then just a few hours later, they find two more bodies, I guess. Yeah, they were in the bushes. They're hard to see, hard to find them. Now there's 8 people dead. 2 hours later, they found 2 more. Well, after the facts, it's like, okay.
4, and then another 4, all dead from a 44.
From a 44-year-old man. Mississippi picks up their 4th loss. It's just like, fuck. Well, there was another mass shooting with a veteran. I don't know why they're making it so hard to pull it up. That was like the main focal point I saw regarding it. But anyway, maybe I just dreamed about it. Maybe it was just a dream I had. Whoa, what a segue, guys. Yo, crazy segue. Whoa. Well, I think we kind of, like I said, we finished our food from last week because we did want to talk about sleep. And here's the greatest thing about it is we're going to have 2 opposing mentalities, maybe not mentalities even, but just like experiences, because I know you take your sleep very seriously, and take sleep seriously, and not necessarily your sleep, but where you understand the benefits of it and you work towards getting that. Whereas I understand the benefits of it, and I just have never really worked towards fixing my issues with sleep, and I have terrible sleep habits, like god awful, really, really bad. going on. And it's one thing to just be like, oh yeah, I'm just a bad sleeper, but no, I've done my due diligence. I'm pretty well aware of the negative side effects later in life, cognitive side effects that they say that it can have. And so it's not like I'm just happy to continue doing it. It's just chalk it up to kicking the can down the road a little bit with my with my own health and things of that nature. But yeah, it's something it needs to be packaged into the rest of the things I've talked about the last couple of weeks that I need to find ways to overcome and work on. But let's start with you over there, Austin. You have the I think the brighter side of life when it comes to um, the benefits of sleep, the detriments of non-sleep, and whatever was left on the table from last week that you wanted to touch on. Why don't you hit us with it?
Yeah, because I brought up sleep a few times last week. Probably like two, three, four times I brought up sleep very briefly and like rest, recovery, that type of stuff. Um, One of the things I mentioned last week as well when it came to sleep, I mentioned the importance of sleep, and then I mentioned a lot of people, a lot of people are lacking sleep or don't realize they're lacking sleep or recovery stuff like that. And another thing I mentioned last week too about sleep, um, that's also important. I think for a lot of people to remember is like this time of year, I brought up the fact that like in the summertime, the days are longer. It's warm outside, and there's more sun, so you just feel better. You don't really You're up later. You might even be up earlier. You might not need as much sleep or as much recovery or as downtime. But like this time of year, as we get into the winter and the cold, depressing time of year, it's definitely important to get a lot more sleep. And you're supposed to be sleeping more and recovering more this time of year. You're not supposed to be up and out and doing stuff like you are in the summer. It's time of year for rest and sleep, um and that's something that's a big part of like I know like November for me is a month that really like fucking punches me in the gut every year because it's just how the cycles, like I mentioned last week or the week before too, that I had a cold and stuff. Like my body doesn't like cycles from like hot to cold and changing of the seasons. um and like for like getting to winter and getting in November is just a I have such a hard time every November because it's such a dark, gloomy month, and it's so dark. Like it's dark at like 4 o'clock. It's like dark already, and it's just like you're always in the dark, and it's cold, and you got winter coming, and it's always like a hard shifting point in the year, for me, anyways. And like with sleep is something. Sleep I struggle with at times. I feel like lately it's been a lot better. Like I don't know, like I feel like um I mentioned that like I had a couple dreams like a week ago or whatever. I know I mentioned to you after the show last week, but I didn't really have. I may have had a few dreams this week, but not too much. Um, I know like this week was kind of a busier week with stuff, and I know today I was kind of just somewhat tired and stuff, and kind of like I am now, just kind of a little bit tired and sleepy and stuff, and uh, achy to speed my recovery and stuff. But yeah, the importance of just the seasonal effects of stuff really get to me a lot of times. Just the changes, the transitions, whether like I said, I get sick or I get colds or just the way your body feels. Like summer, it's just like you just feel amazing. You feel great. It's sunny out till 10 o'clock. It's warm. It's easy to get by, and then with what I believe is going to be a very bad, brutal winter, um, it's just so important that you're getting that extra sleep and taking it easy and recovering and stuff. And that's such a huge, especially like if you're injured too, as well, just to recover so your body can, uh, not just beat, like an illness, sickness, but also if you're injured, the more sleep you have, the more you recover and stuff like that. Um, and it's kind of weird too. Like, and like I said too, like at times, like like sometimes I like to smoke weed too because it like helps me. Like I said, it does motivate me and inspire me and stuff. And a lot of times it helps me too, like either sleep or pass out and stuff. And then sometimes, um, like if I smoke for like a few days, like I might still have some dreams. If I'm smoking for like a few days, but like if I smoke for more than that, I tend to sometimes I'll still have dreams, but a lot of times, like when I'm not smoking, I'll have more dreams or more vivid dreams. But it kind of comes and goes. Like this week too, like the week before, I feel like more dreams this week. Either I didn't really have them or I couldn't remember 'em. Maybe I didn't get into as deep a sleep, but uh, just like recovery and and stress too. Like stress plays a huge role in it too, because like if something's like bothering me and I don't feel um either just like something's just the way my body like I'm not someone who like does well with stress. I just don't respond well to stress. Like if something's stressing me out, like I feel like I have to attack it and beat it down and conquer it, or it just like overcomes with like anxiety or depression and just all these things you worry about, and it affects my sleep and other things. Um and I think that just my response to stress too is I think it plays a large role into like who I am and why I do the things that I do, because I'll feel that stress, and then I know I have to keep working out or pushing myself, or I have to be doing my stretch, and I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to take care of things because it's like you're sick, you're injured, or you're worried about work or worried about whatever it is that's stressing you out, and you have to uh, attack that or try and get it to go away, so you're feeling good, you're not all anxious and it's not bothering you and stuff like that. Um and like with dreams too and sleep, I think it's a very interesting concept, like just the way like dreams tend to be. I know, like I've said, a lot of my dreams tend to be kind of the same thing, like over and over. But then I've had some dreams. I've had, I mean, I have all different kind of dreams, but like I'll have dreams too that like I'll dream of something, and like not even like just hours later, or less than an hour later, it's like whatever I was just dreaming just literally happens. Like I don't remember if I told you this, but I had like one dream back in the summertime. I was dreaming, and there's this Asian girl at the gym. Her name's like Joanna or something, and it was weird. I never had a dream with her in it, but I had a dream of like her, and there's like I think like a couple girls from the gym were in it, and it was really weird because it was like I was uh I was in the dream, and like I can't remember like what I was dreaming about, but then in the dream she was like fine, everyone was fine, but then in the dream she like got injured or something. She injured her leg or something, and I was like, oh, what happened to your leg or something? It was weird, and she was like on crutches or something. I don't know. It's just these weird dream, weird visuals I was getting in my head, and I had just seen her like a few days ago or a week ago, and she was fine. She wasn't injured or anything. And this was like just an hour or so before I went to the gym. I woke up, I had that dream. I thought that was weird. I was like asking her in the dream, like, oh, what happened to your leg? Why you injured ever? And then like, um, I went to the gym that day and I figured she might be there. And it was funny, she was actually there. I can't remember if she was there when I got there, but she was like on the treadmill and stuff. But I didn't notice that I was working out or I was doing ever. Then because I didn't see her because she was facing the other way and I was behind her. And then like when she had turned around, I noticed her arm was in a sling, and I didn't notice that in the beginning. And then I turned around, I'm like, wait, that's or she was. I've seen her. I'm like, wait, that's so weird. I'm like, you were totally fine last time I seen you. I just had a weird dream of you being injured, and then for whatever reason, and then literally like an hour later, I go to the gym and you actually are injured. You have your arm in a sling. Or she said she was like in this car accident, or she got in a car accident ever or something like that, and um messed up her arm and stuff. But yeah, I thought like that was really weird. I'm like, well, what was this dream? Was she like telepathically like talking to me in the dream, like that she got injured or something in some way, and then like it actually ended up happening, and then she's like telepathically talking to me and stuff, that this happened for some weird random reason, and then that's how I actually see her. It's just like it's so weird like how some of the stuff plays out. how it's like you see things and they actually happen, or did end up happening, but you didn't know about it, and then you end up finding out that your dream maybe had a reason that you had that dream, or maybe you were telepathically communicating or talking to somebody in your dream. It's like, um, and I know like a lot of times like I'll have dreams and I'll look up, like I'll research like what they mean and what the purpose of this is. Like I have almost all of my dreams involve I know I told you this last week, but they almost always involve something with my car. Always something with my car. Um for whatever reason, I don't, and I've had dreams. It's not always like necessarily maybe my car, but like I know I had a dream maybe like about a year ago or so. I was in the like this. I can't remember who was in it, but somebody was like driving, and I was in the passenger seat, and I was like, we were like running from the cops. We were like in this high speed chase, and we were just like flying, and just like it was crazy. And then all of other, like I have tons of dreams where my car gets like stolen or totaled, or uh I lose it somehow, or like something happens to it. Um, I have tons of dreams like that, or like I always something usually involving my car. And I have other dreams too that are just like, um, it'll be weird. Like there'll be stuff like going on. Like I've had dreams where like there's like either like volcanoes are like erupting, or there's uh crazy weather. Just random stuff, or like I'm like sometimes I'll have dreams like where I'm like either like I'll fall, or I'll be like falling, or something will happen. I'll be like almost like flying through the air. Like I'm always, it's like weird because like, a lot of times like you're controlling your dream, and it's like where like you should die or something should happen, but it's like you're somehow able to like hang on to something, and then like you'll wait for like help to arrive, or like a helicopter, or just like maybe you're just like driving along, and like all of a sudden like the road disappears, you just like fall, and then like then you just wake up, you like just sit up and stuff, and it's like um just all these weird things with dreams. But I feel like, all the dreams I've had so much, a lot of random dreams. Some it's like people that I don't really know, or some it is like people that I know. And um a lot of my dreams don't really make sense, but some of them kind of somewhat do. And like I said, sometimes like I'll have dreams, and like that one with the girl from the gym, like that was like just like instantly, like that happened like right after. And I've had times where like I'm up, and then I'll be like, and like I'll be sleeping, and then I'll be like, people be talking to me like, "Oh, Austin, it's time to get up. It's time to, you know, you know, get up for whatever." It's like, "Oh, what do you mean? I am up. I'm at the table. I'm eating right now." It's like, "No, you're not. You're sleeping." And then like I really think I'm up and I'm doing things, but really I'm sleeping. It's like you're like dreaming of being up doing things, and you think you're up. And I've had things like that happen. And like I said, I've had other dreams that have happened that I've seen in my dreams, and they end up happening not quite as quickly that I could remember like the other one, but um others as well. So it's like sometimes you have dreams, and it's like it's not just like, the meaning of the dream, like why was I dreaming this, but a lot of times it actually does end up happening, and you like see into the future. It's like you're uh being able to see things. I always talk about like how I'm able to see things before they happen, and see things faster than people. Sometimes I literally do see things in my dreams that end up happening. um and it's just like yeah, I feel like dreams have a major meaning and purpose in my life. Uh, and even the stuff that I've researched, like why I have a lot of the dreams that I do, um, whether it's just like it says you're like stressed out or burned out or anxious, or
Well,
um,
that's every description of a dream. I swear they
yeah,
love imprinting like stress or an issue, like an unresolved issue is the
yeah,
purpose of dreams according to science. I don't buy that for a second. I don't think that it can't be part of your dream, but I don't think, especially, I wanted to talk about one thing, but why don't you finish your point there? It sounded like you still had more to say. Sorry.
yeah, like what the reasons you have these dreams, like maybe you're stressed out, or you're worried, or you're anxious, or you're depressed, or you got something going on or things like that, and however you're, whatever is you got going in your life, how that kind of manifests into your dreams and why you have these dreams and stuff. And um sometimes it can seem accurate. Sometimes to me it doesn't really seem accurate. Like sometimes I'll have dreams and I'll be dreaming, and then like I'll just get these series of dreams. Like I had a week, like I had like two dreams that were both like I said, that one was like something was with my car, like my car got all messed up, like uh I don't even remember how, but it was like all messed up and like kind of somewhat totaled, like missing stuff. And I'm just like, whoa. And I had another dream after that, like there's like a volcano eruption and stuff. And I was like, we were walking and um, I don't remember. I think there's like other people and like there's kind of random people around. And then I don't even know where we were. And it was dark. And like I kind of sensed like a volcano was going to erupt. And I guess like it did. So like stuff like that, natural disaster type stuff. Um, Twisters. I've had stuff like that. Uh, so I've kind of really had pretty much every kind of dream. Like I said, dreams where I'm like in like a high speed chase, and I'm like that one dream I had like a year ago. Like I said, where I was just like in the passenger seat, someone was driving, we were just like flying. Like we go down a road, we were like 0 to 100 in no time. We were just like boom, we were just like cruising, and it was just crazy. And um, yeah, dreams were like I'm running from stuff, or it's just like there's just kind of chaos or just weird stuff happening. Or people that maybe look a certain way in the dream. Like maybe it's just I've had dreams of people that I know, and like there's like it's almost like a lot of times in the dream someone's trying to like tell me something or show me something in the dream. I've had dreams of like friends, people that I know, and then I'd be like, hey, I had this dream and it was weird and you guys were in it. And maybe there was like I've had dreams where people like their face might be white or they have like this white complexion or something. um I've kind of looked at that, like what's that supposed to mean and stuff. Like why is this person look all white or their face is white or something, like uh and then like dreams were like I'm just kind of like in this like weird area, and there's like a lot of people or something, or something's going on, and like maybe someone's trying to like show me something. It's just weird. It's like a lot of times I feel like I said, dreams, half of mine seem like they're just kind of like random and stuff, but then like another half seems like there is a lot more to it. And I think that, whether or not, our dreams are, um, like I said, we are somewhat maybe looking in the future. We are like telepathically communicating with someone. I think there's like a lot more um on the table that we just don't know about when it comes to dreams and what they actually mean, and even like what they are, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, that leads into several different things. I do want to speak about the first topic real quick, touch on that, because I do want to get other people's opinions on this as far as the health um, side of things, because I do think it is wildly important, and it could be that science is overstepping on the importance of that. Of course, you have great thinkers and of our previous times that apparently all struggled with sleep. I'm talking about some of the greatest scientists and inventors. Although I do have my alternative theories about a lot of the inventors and the whole patent process and things of that nature. But anyway, so you'll have on one hand them saying, sleep deprivation is a potential trigger, or for genius. It's not a trigger for it, but I mean, like it goes alongside a lot of these geniuses. They had trouble sleeping and they didn't sleep a lot. Just like some of the people that have lived the longest on this earth were pack a day smokers. It's just like, what? Oh shit. So but yeah, I wanted to touch on, like I said, I feel like we're maybe a little oil and water here, because like the importance of it, and you work towards it, and you make sure that it's something that you incorporate into your routine. Whereas I'm sitting here, man, I'm telling you, for as long, man, I don't know how long it's been, but if it's tracked by like years off your life or months off your life, I don't even know how far behind I am at this point. And I'm chuckling at that. That's really not that funny if that is how it works. But I've had very much struggled with, you know, wrestling, getting myself to sleep, being in a state where I am comfortable enough to sleep. That was one of the big things when I was younger. Is I would get these like I can't explain it. It's like the only thing the way I can put it is it's almost like you have foil touching your filling all across your whole body. It's like this weird state of just like nervous, can't like twitchy, not twitchy necessarily. Well, kind of twitchy. It just feels like your body is so restless that you have to do something to if your mind is not taken up by something, you will be just like you'll notice it. It's like as long as your mind has is not preoccupied, you will notice how weird your body feels. And that was me lying in my bed at night trying to go to sleep. So I went from that in my younger days. I really wanted to go to sleep. I tried to go to sleep. That evolved into me buying a backlight for my Game Boy Advance, and that kind of triggered the night gaming arc that I am sometimes still on. I say sometimes, but a lot of the time still on, whether I'm gaming or just like on the computer doing other things. It is, and they have different terms for it, whatever it may be. My mom took me to the hospital when I was in high school. I think it was a routine checkup, but she brought it up because I had really bad trouble sleeping. And they say I have seasonal insomnia. And it makes enough sense because certain parts of the year, which is funny because you mentioned that you were just talking about the hibernation, routines that your body is used to, and that varies with what side of the equator you live on as well. But I mean, it makes enough sense because yes, certainly during it's just very strange. What it ends up being is you don't have. It's not like you sleep really well in one season. It's like you don't sleep good in either season, or either season being like the warm or cold, for different reasons. But in my adult life, I have taken that diagnosis, quote unquote, and I have tried to say, not tried to say, but I've basically thrown it out the window. I really don't care if that's what they say I have. It's not like I'm sitting here self-diagnosed and saying, "Oh yeah, and I got seasonal insomnia." I have done that in the past, or at least I've explained that I've been diagnosed with seasonal insomnia. But I'm not. I do believe in like mind over matter. So I think telling myself I have seasonal insomnia is not going to help me not have seasonal insomnia if it is what I have. So it's not like I'm defeated at the idea that, oh, nope, I got this thing. So that's it. That's where I'm at. I need a pill if I'm going to get over this. At the same time, I haven't really put in the work in order to confront it and do better with it. There was semi recently in the old apartment we lived at, there was a time where I don't know exactly what it was, but I was actually, you know what? Looking back, I was smoking a lot of weed. So I think just being like overly high actually helped, but it helped. Doing one thing to, using fire to defeat fire. Not to be down harsh on weed, but you can overdo everything is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So other than that, I don't think I've really had any. I don't think I've made any strides towards, fixing that particular issue for sure. And there's a lot of studies out there. I guess I could let's just see what AI has to say. Let's see it. sleep, negative side effects. Negative side. Oops. Of lack of sleep. I know it's crazy. It'll. Oh yeah, this is one of the big ones that I'm worried about. Not that I'm super worried about it. Not that I, like I say, mind over matter, but at the same time, this is one of the things that, like, getting older, if I can just find a way, and you talk about stretching all the time too. It's like that, let me branch off real quick because we talked about this last week, especially with stretching, because I got into the nitty gritty about it, and I really did. By the way, I have worked out most days in this week and done slight stretching. It's gonna be something I have to work into because I got to get my mindset back in the way, because I used to be able to stretch really well, and I was able to channel that pain feeling into like a whole nother feeling. It's very similar to, like, I can withstand really spicy food, and I sit there and watch people like just struggle with it. Oddly enough, like when I have when my tongue is like burning, I can just kind of like turn it off. Sort of. I can just kind of tell my mind that it doesn't feel like, it's not pain that I'm feeling. It's just like a vibration. I'm not even joking. It feels like it's just vibrating really fast. And so, same kind of thing with stretching. I could stretch for a really long time back in the day. I was a lot more limber and I was a lot more active. So that helped, and younger. But when it comes to like the tough stretches, where it's really burning, quote unquote, like I would be able to turn that burning sensation into like just another sensation so I could go longer. And I'm reworking on that. Like recently, I just doing the basic, like, sit down and grab one leg as far as you can and grab the other leg and grab the middle, like the stretches that I remember doing when I played baseball that they taught us. I'm working on those anyway. But like knowing the ins and outs of like stretching, especially when it comes to hypertension has to do with your blood flow. That you might not understand that. They're just like, you're getting old. It's just like, well, are you getting old with a body that's loose and limber and lubricated? Because if you're getting old with a body that's loose, limber, and lubricated, you're not at risk of but they'll just say, oh, it's lack of sleep. It's just like, well, these things need to be, I think, classified better. And I think why they're classified the way they are is because there's always a drug with that side effect that says they fix that side effect. And so obviously we know that the hospitals are just the second wing, or pharmaceutical company or pharmacies are the second wing of a hospital, that, just like insurance companies and auto body shops, same kind of concept. But yeah, as far as the risks going with lack of sleep, I do see that future for myself if I don't make better strides in order to get better sleep. And so yeah, I'm curious, about anybody out there, how to do, or do you struggle with sleep? Have you struggled with sleep? And how did you, if you did struggle and you overcame it, what'd you do? What kind of regimen are you on in order to kind of defeat that? And also, Austin, I'm curious about you too, because like, is this something that was a problem ever in your life, or are you just, you understand the importance of it and you never really struggled with it, so you just keep it at the forefront of just knowing you have to get good sleep in order to do the next things you want to do in the next day or whatever it is. And obviously you understand the importance of recovery too, but is it just that gives you good sleep, or did you ever have to overcome like bad sleep?
Yeah, for me, it's always kind of been. I felt like, and the weird thing, like when I was young, when I was a kid, um, even probably up to, I don't know, I want to say my teens to like maybe early 20s, or maybe not that far, maybe my late teens, maybe, to maybe early 20s. Or at least when I was younger, I used to be able to fall asleep a lot easier, like just like if I was just kind of tired or just going to bed or something like that. I mean, I used to be able to. Now it takes a lot more for me. It takes a lot to like knock me out a lot of times, like it to get me to really kind of go to sleep sometimes. My sleep kind of comes and goes here and there. Sometimes I'm doing all right. Sometimes I'm not. Generally, typically, I'm always feeling best in summer. Almost always. A lot of times in winter. And I'm just someone who doesn't do a good job. Like if I didn't sleep real well, like last night, I feel like I slept pretty decent. But I did a lot of work this week, a lot of working out and running around, and like I said, I was helping someone with moving yesterday. I had to run up there and go help them out and stuff. So I was, doing a lot of stuff here and there this week, a lot of stretching. So my body's sore too. As like I said, I was at trampoline park and stuff, and I was feeling pretty sore in my back like yesterday and stuff. So my body's kind of sore. So I mean, I slept decent last night, but I'm more tired today just because I think it's more of the recovery. I just need more recovery in my body and just of the injuries I have. And if you ever are, like I said, injured or sick, you need more time to sleep to recover to actually fix that as well. And like I said, I'm just not someone who um typically does well without sleep. Like at times, like maybe if I don't sleep well for a day or maybe 2 days, I can get away with it. But if it stretches to like 3 or 4 days, like I just turn into an absolute zombie. Like I am just awful to be around, and I'm just like I'm just awful person in general. Like I'm just like, yeah, I don't even know where I am. I can't think. I just my body just shuts down without it. And I know like seasonally, even like when back in like 2017, 18, 19, when I was living in Seattle, uh one of the and like I've lived like I said, Wisconsin, Wyoming, where it's it's cold, it's gray in the winter times, and a lot of times sometimes you might be up later in the winter time for those reasons, just to escape the gray and the depression of the day. And that was kind of something I was dealing with and going through for a little bit of a time too. Especially I'd be doing like Uber Eats, and I'd be like out like in Seattle, and I'd get home like around like usually around like midnight or just after midnight to 1 o'clock, and I'd maybe go to sleep around like 1, 2 in the morning. I was kind of on a schedule like that. I'd like start work like around like 5, 6, go to like 11 midnight, that type of deal. Uh, for like a couple years or a few years. And I do that like in the wintertime too, like where I would kind of escape the somewhat of the gray depression during the day. So I'd be up at night. And sometimes that would kind of help because I didn't really see a lot of the gray. I would just see like darkness. So I was kind of always just kind of in the dark. Um that was kind of somewhat of a schedule and stuff, but um yeah, and I forget what that's called, sleep, or like where you're where you sleep and then or you're trying to sleep and then you have where you where it's like you wake up but you can't move, and like
Oh,
you're
sleep paralysis.
yeah, sleep paralysis. Yeah, I had that really bad in like 2000. I want to say like early 2017. Right before I moved to Seattle, I was really struggling like back in like Wisconsin at the time, where I just where I just didn't want to go to bed because I was so freaked out. It was really bad around that time. I was battling a lot of different stuff around that time, and that year and that time, my sleep paralysis was just awful, off the charts. Like I'd be just going to work, and just be like a total just zombie the next day because I couldn't sleep. I was like freaking out, and like I wasn't, my mind was gone. I didn't even know where I was. I was like falling asleep at the wheel. I'd even be like driving, and uh, like I'd almost have to pull over because I thought I was gonna like faint and pass out, and like I just get all dizzy, and I was just a mess that year for a lot of time, and um
Bro, honestly, that sounds like narcolepsy. You just said like a bunch of things that it's listed right here. Narcolepsy is one of the biggest things for sleep paralysis, and that sounds like narcolepsy.
Yeah, I dealt with that, and 2017 was the worst for me when I was just leaving Wisconsin before I moved to Washington. But yeah, it was awful, and that was because I didn't. I mean, before that, I mean, like I said, I mean, sleep, like even like living in Wisconsin, Wyoming, like I could be up late sometimes, you know, especially in the wintertime. Um, just kind of doing whatever. Cause like it's sometimes it's like you're just kind of, you're in your own little zone. A lot of times in the wintertime, it's dark, it's cold, it's depressing. So a lot of times you're trying to escape that. Um, but a lot of times you just end up being up in the dark and the cold, just, and you like never see the sun. I mean, it's just, I've kind of been on schedules like that where it's just like you just go through so much time where you just don't even ever see like sunshine. And I've noticed too, like since I've like I said, I first came to Washington in 2016 for my, it was my 21st birthday. I got here like April 19th. I got to Washington, Seattle of 2016. I left like around um, May 1st or whatever. Yeah, it was like April 30th, May 1st. And then I came back the next year for my 22nd birthday, and I left. It was around like the same time. It was like I got back, and then I moved to Washington or Seattle after that. After I took my second trip out here, but I've noticed since that time, in like living here, like 2017, 2018, 2019. 2020, and then I moved to Wyoming for those couple of years, and I came back in 2022. But I've noticed our weather is totally different than what it was back then. Like I remember it being a lot more like rainy and gray, and just now it seems I don't. To me, it's like it's a lot more sunnier now. I don't know if the weather's
Well,
just different. It doesn't seem like it rains as much as it did then. It seems like it's a lot
Drought's
more.
been a lot bigger of an issue in the Pacific Northwest than flooding in the past decade or so.
Yeah,
Droughts and fires have been the name of the game rather than flooding, which it used to be. It used to be at like risk of rivers overflowing and flooding. I remember when like every year the Willamette, was always at risk to flood on a certain week. Certain get prepared for. Well, I remember when I lived in Portland. I remember when it was very often that the Willamette would creep up on the boardwalk, like they would be level with the boardwalk. It was so overflowing. So, but recently, no, I don't remember that. In fact, I remember one of the times I went to Portland, like you could see the algae line of the river, like 3 feet. Like it was so low. So I think drought and has been a much bigger issue in the Pacific Northwest. And it's like, yeah, it might come with like the sunny weather and everything, but Pacific Northwest and fires, guys, look it up. They have been tearing up the Pacific Northwest. Which, if you think about it, you have the two northern corners of the country. Well, I mean, really the northern section of the country. You still have Montana and up northern Idaho and things of that nature, but really anywhere that's connected with Canada is pretty wildernessy. Um, but as far as the corners going, because I mentioned the corners because they're coastal states. The interstates, I'm sure they'll get their comeuppance at some point, but they're really not populated like the coastal states. Um, what do they call them? The ocean locked, or what are they called? Anyway, landlocked states aren't as you know not as many people live there, so the rituals and you generally aren't as impactful, you could say, necessarily. Not to take away from the travesties that have happened, but anyway, um, they've been tearing up the western, the northwestern part of the country with fire and drought and stuff of that nature. So, you think why I'm saying that is because people have this idea of the Pacific Northwest as just like green all around. Well, it's just like, man, look around. It's like brown now. It's crazy. It's like I grew up with like overwhelming green everywhere, and it was like you said, it was my childhood. It was like the rainy season was well over half the year. That was the joke about like summer, is that it's like it rained during summer. A lot of summer was rain. It's like, yeah, you did have those random years that were potentially really hot and everything, but you still had rain. Even then, you still had rain. Recently, it has not been like that at all. I lived now through the hottest summer in Portland's history. We talked about that multiple times. Zach talks about that on his channel because that just happened to be the summer of love. If you guys don't know, with the the Antifa Black Lives Matter destroying downtown Portland, causing a bunch of fires on top of a forest fire on the outer reaches of Portland. At the same time, we had the highest, like some of the highest temperatures, if not the highest temperatures that we've ever had in Portland. It was something like 120. It was something crazy. Maybe not 120. That sounds like really high, but it was something crazy. I could look it up. Highest Portland. And this was all during like COVID too. So people were walking around wearing masks. And I'm like, hey, there's a good reason. Now there's a good reason for them to wear the masks because you couldn't see 5 feet in front of you. It was so smoky in Portland on top of being like the hottest. It was insane. Yep, 2021, 116 degrees. So I wasn't even that off with 120, dude. But it was gnarly. It was gnarly. So yeah, highest temperatures, fires everywhere. In fact, that's the first thing we ever talked about. We compared when we first met in Portland. That was the first thing we sat down and we talked about the fires. You talked about Wisconsin and I talked about Portland. I just remember that. Huh?
Yeah, and that's the funny thing, because where I'm from is where the area that I'm from was actually the biggest fire in either the history of the world or the history of America. It was
like per acreage.
Yeah, it was it basically the fire was it took up 2,400 miles. So basically almost the whole way across the United States, 3,000 miles. In Wisconsin, it was 2,400 square miles. It was back in it was the Peshtigo fire, but it took up like the area where I'm from, Swamico. That whole area was also engulfed as well.
What was it called?
The Peshtigo fire. It took up where I'm from, Swamico was also engulfed at the time, but this was way a long time ago. But yeah, it was the biggest. You're the biggest fire in the world, or the biggest fire in the history of America.
And it was the deadliest.
Yeah.
Although, hold on. There's apparently another one way back in the day. They like doing that shit too.
I think it was back in the 1800s. Yeah.
Yeah. 1871. Okay. Yep, deadliest and biggest fire. Crazy. Jesus. 1.2 million acres. 490 hectares. Ooh, boy. That was only back then. It was $5 million. It's like that's in some people's pockets nowadays.
Yeah.
Peshtigo. Well, anyway, I think this, not to close this topic out on the channel, but as far as, oh, by the way, I wanted to ask, was this you? Because maybe we can. Did you look like this? If so, you had narcolepsy, dude. If you look like that, I see a lot of people with narcolepsy nowadays because they're all people walking around looking like that.
My little mouth, my little sewed up mouth.
Yeah. But yeah, not to. I mean, that it's something I'm sure we'll discuss more about. And I'm hoping, I do want to kind of treat this channel too, like we can share our, journeys. I hate talking like this. It sucks that so many words have been ruined by, just the way dialected moves nowadays. It's just like saying your journey sounds so gay now because all these people say it so gay. But what I'm just trying to say is like, in our walks of life, just sharing our experiences with certain things to give people something to compare to or something to look at, that, you know, not everything is going to resonate with everybody, but, you know, if we share enough, you'll have things that'll resonate with people. That there's several times where, you know, I found stuff that I was just like, oh, wow, someone else feels that way about that. It's like some random thing that I wouldn't imagine anyone else would ever care about. Finding out somebody else like cares, that thinks about it and cares about it. There's something to it. And, you know, it's funny I'm talking about that while I have this pulled up, because we were talking about it earlier with the dreams and everything. Have you ever heard of like the Akashic records, however you want to say it?
I may have heard of that.
It's like the idea that everything that's happened or will happen is like written down. Basically, it's a compendium, and, you know, certain things that humans do can tap into that. And like the idea also that there was a time when the world was more magical, so to speak, a different version of our world, or a world, whatever, where it was more free flowing, and they called it the aether, the Aether, which is funny because the old world electricity was described as ether, and you had, you know, people like Tesla. It's funny, I'm going full circle. I'm hopping back into the whole patent thing, but yeah, the patents were, a lot of those patents were for ether energy that was harvested out of the air, not created by friction or things of that nature. Anyway, but also, you know, healing you know, ether was used in healing as well. And then there was also the ether gas. So there's multiple different things. Anyway, I think they're all playing off of the idea of aether, which means sky. But anyway, yeah, just the idea that recurring dreams, certain things that, like you say, do you ever feel like you can, there's a lot of people that believe that the people you meet in your dreams, the nondescript people, they're just, you know, science will say that your brain is filling in the gaps. Like that's let's go on the scientific idea of what a dream is, by the way, because I've researched this. Science will say like a dream is your, first of all, there's science that backs up the idea that the only a reason why you dream is to keep your mind like preoccupied, so you don't like negatively affect your body while you sleep, because your mind is crazy. Your mind, you know, placebo effect is a real thing. So your body's trying to keep you like, hey, bro, stay out of it. I got work to do, bro. Leave me alone, bro. I got work to do. Go, you know, just go over there and just fucking twitch like you're doing, bro. Just whatever you got to do, just let me work. So they'll say basically that it needs to shut down, and part of it shutting down is like keeping part of your brain preoccupied in order to stay asleep. And that they talk about REM sleep and that kind of thing, where you do dream, as just being like a precautionary measure. Not everyone dreams, although there is science to say that they do dream, but it doesn't connect to their frontal cortex or whatever, the one that has the like short-term memory. Just like, you know, when you wake up from a dream and you have about a minute to either write it down or it's gone forever type of deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, the scientific concept is that like dreams are there to give your body, to kind of like keep you out of the way from stopping your body from doing the necessary adjustments and fixes it needs to do while asleep. And there's enough, that makes enough sense. That's fine. But then of course there's the other, lots of different concepts on what dreams are for and what they, you know, what they manifest as and why they manifest as what they do. But as far as like the idea, you know, when you are dreaming, that space that you do feel, because it kind of makes sense, because, you know, we talk about our dreams and it's like, I don't know what that guy was doing there, or like where I was. I don't know why I was in like a school I've never been to. You know what I mean? I do tend to think that potentially, not to say that every detail of a dream matters, but man, I'm so bad at this. But now I have like a separate question I want to ask you. Do you have an inner monologue? Do you hear yourself think?
You mean when you're like dreaming, or?
No, not just when you're dreaming. This plays into dreams. I want to relate this to dreams, but do you have an inner monologue? Like when you think, do you hear yourself or someone talking?
Uh,
Or do you just think about the thing? Or is it someone talking about the thing? And that might be a bad, maybe somebody can phrase
maybe
this.
like almost like you're saying, like, do you like hear kind of like voices in your head, like
Yes.
of like a
Yes.
kind of like almost sometimes like almost maybe sometimes if it's like a gut instinct, like whether or not like you know, like sometimes it's almost always best to go with your gut for whatever reason, like you feel like whatever you're doing is wrong or bad, or oh you know it's don't make that, it's, you know, wrong move at the wrong time. Like sometimes I'll get that, like, you know, or you'll have a bad feeling something's about to happen, or you know you're about to make a mistake or something like that. Like sometimes, and then it's like almost like you warn yourself, but it's like sometimes you just kind of somewhat sometimes just go against anyways, and like you're like, oh, that's what that was, or there it was, you know, like sometimes it's kind of like that maybe.
Okay, but does it manifest as an actual voice? Or are you just talking about a feeling? Like I understand what you're saying, but does that gut feeling manifest as in Austin, don't do that? Or even your own voice just being like, yo, don't do that. Almost like it's the future you talking to yourself.
You know, I used to hear my voice, like my name. I used to hear it all the time. Like I used to hear it very faint, like Austin, Austin, Austin. I'd like looking around, like, what is that? I don't hear like my name being called anymore, really. But I've noticed too, like a lot of time, and I do hear stuff, and like I'll hear things a lot of times, and I don't know, like especially like where I live now, like I hear stuff in there almost every day I'm alone, and I don't know what it is. Like it's like I'll hear like bags moving. I'll hear weird noises, and um, I think like a week ago, even when I got home, there was like a weird noise. Like, and I hear some weird stuff, and I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know if it's like some ghost or something trying to communicate me. Like, I'll be hearing things moving and stuff like that. And there's almost times where I swear I'm hearing voices and stuff, but like I feel like I used to maybe have that more. Like, I know I used to hear my voice, like my name, all the time, like Austin, Austin. It was real faint, but I'd hear it, and I'm just like, I didn't know what it was and what was going on, but I don't really. I feel like that's kind of gone away now, for the most part.
Okay, let me pose this question to our fine viewers as well. Let me write it down too. Because if you see here, I mean, science says that about 30 to half of 30 to 50% of people have what's known as an inner monologue. Now, let me explain what mine, I'm sure everyone's is different, but let me explain what mine manifests as. It is morals. In my opinion, your inner monologue, if you have one, what I do think it can be a silent monologue. Like you said, morals are what I say is morals are instinctual. The right thing is instinctual, for the most part. Not the nuanced things, not the things that don't go along with like what a human should know, but as far as what a human should know and should do, I think those things are instinctual, and mine manifest as that. It's to the point where basically I feel like I have a really disappointed future self that has tried to guide me in the right way, and basically it feels like the devil wins when I go against the voice in my head. The voice in my head is very blunt. He tells me exactly what I should do. And when I go against that, I feel an immense regret and guilt for going against it, because I feel like it's me, it's John Connor. It's me trying to guide me to do the right thing for the right outcome. And every time I don't, I also feel his just like, damn, man. I feel that. Like I feel his disappointment, because I think if you think about it, it's why I say the future him, because he's literally, I feel like it's guiding him, and like he has a stake in it. That's why I say it's my future self, is because the things I do now affect him And because he's able to talk to me from the future, he's just like, yo, don't do that shit. That's going to get my leg broken on this day. I'm in you can't see me, but my ass is in a wheelchair because of you. It's like, I don't know what he looks like or anything, but that's the way I interpret it, because it's not some like metaphysical, like, whoa, it's not some like hippie type of thing. It's literally like logical things. He tells me what to do. And I say he, but I do think it is myself, my own brain manifesting like a concept. But I say brain, but what I really mean is my spirit, in my opinion. But yeah, it's like, when I've been kind of forthright and forthcoming with, some of my struggles the last few episodes for sure. And that now is where I'm going to kind of explain that is like with all those things, like I said, the lack of exercise I've been doing the last few months since we've moved out here, basically, because I was on a much better regimen before I moved out here. I was running and doing all sorts of things. So like did things that revolve around discipline and, just like cheat things, like eating a bad thing or things of that nature. He's right there. He's just like, it's like my will is speaking to me. It's just like, do you got to do that? Are you like so weak you got to do that right now type of thing? It's like anyway, but yeah, so it's like my inner monologue is loud. I can hear him. It is a clear and voice. Like there's arguments whether or not the inner monologue, like you said, people will argue that is your inner monologue and you're just interpreting it as what you should do and what like a vision rather than a voice. Mine is a clear voice. It is, but you also have to understand that, like, it's half of the people have it, half of the people don't, supposedly. So it's just the only thing about that is the half of the people that they say that the half of the people that don't have one, they can't imagine what it is to have. Like they can't even, like, they won't believe people because it's just like, what are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. Whereas I can completely believe what you're saying. It makes perfect sense to me. And I don't doubt that it also says people have had one too. Have experienced it at least sometimes as well. But anyway, so let's past that. Why I'm talking about that having to do with dreams is because I do think I think that there's a purpose for your dreams. I know that a lot of it just does seem random and things of that nature, but there is a part of me that thinks that there is some subconscious meeting place for people, and that there is the chance that all those like filled in people are potentially other people or whatever other streams of consciousness. I'm not trying to I'm not like super new wagey. I'm not anything like that. It's just that what I've come to believe and understand is that the purpose of being here is not to do the standard things that everyone thinks they're supposed to do. And so just knowing that there's a higher calling, a higher purpose for anything completely shatters the idea that things aren't more than meets the eye and more than is cookie cutter what it seems. So I'm completely open. I'll put it that way. I'm completely open to all these things. I'm also still open to them just being, sure, my brain's just going random because of all the subconscious thoughts and things that I've seen. And yeah, sure. Okay. That's fine too. But you mentioned, certain things, like the lady at the gym, and you feel like, there was like not a cause and effect, not that you were the cause of it, but that you kind of like tapped into something that's in our reality. Think about it like the Matrix. Things are all the things that are happening in the wet, dirty, grungy real world, they manifest in the fantasy world. But what's very interesting is me and my sister have really weird dream connection type things. Like the most recently, um, it was super strange. I woke up to her calling me, and I was still too asleep to answer. I saw it was her, and I was just like, yeah. I just fell back asleep. Regardless, never mind. I woke up and I called her back because what's funny about that is, um, when in my dream, she was telling me to wake up. In my dream was my sister telling me I need to wake up. It's time to get up. I don't know what it was for or whatever it was, but it's weird. The weird thing is like my sister was calling me to tell me about a dream she just had where I was like screaming at her or something like that. I don't know if I can't remember if she said I was telling her to wake up or not, but it was like something I was trying to get a hold of her in some way. And I was like in her dream, like yelling at her or something like that. So she like called me to tell me about that. Yet in my dream, that same exact day, she was yelling at me to wake up. It's just so it's just like weird things like that have happened. And I also wanted to bring up real quick because I know this is getting to the ending part. Uh, just touching on another side of dreams because we've covered a lot of fun, funky things that people can give their takes on, and I really hope you guys do because this is a fun topic in my opinion to see where everybody's different experiences are at or where they're at with it because you get so many varied ideas when you like look on the internet, but like this is a good chance for like real life anecdotal evidence, if you will, or statements can to add to everybody's understanding of real people's experiences, just to not have a better word. I hate not saying journeys again. Their truths. Say something gayer. Anyway, now, do you have recurring dreams?
Yeah, I would say I'm pretty sure I have. Um, and like I said, I've had dreams and I know it's weird. A lot of times people say, oh, you can't. I don't know why people always said like when I was younger, like people always say, oh, you can't have dreams of people you don't know. Like I have that a lot. Like not always. Sometimes I do know the person, but maybe I can't make out who it is, or just they look random in the dream. But like, um, a lot of times like in my dreams just like and I'll have like I said, I have all kind of dreams. Like I'll have wild dreams, crazy dreams of like natural disasters, dreams of just you know sometimes kind of nightmarish dreams. Some are like good dreams, some are just like you know some are just really random. uh some are just like kind of just like those random kind of like wet dreams you get every now and then, like dreams of you're having sex, or dreams of people of like not necessarily like maybe you're just going from like dream to dream. Like maybe one dream you're like in a wet dream or you're having sex or something, and then one dream you know you're like driving and you're just like chilling, or um you're just kind of out and about or something. Next dream it's like some kind of natural disaster. Next dream it's just something weird happens, or you're like in a high speed chase, something like that. Just like I've had dreams that I know were pretty similar for sure. I don't know if they 100% exact, but I'm pretty sure I've had at least congruent, similar to congruent dreams. And I don't know if like, um, some dreams I have, and then it's like, and then it'll happen to me, and then I'll be like, it's like deja vu. It's like, is this a dream, or is it a memory? I don't even know. Like a lot of times, like I've seen this before. Something has like shown me this. Like I have that all the time, where it's like, if it's not like a reoccurring dream, it's just like it's a dream that maybe I've had once or twice, or maybe it's happened in life, and now I'm seeing it in my dream or something. It's just like it's really weird. It's like I said, I think a lot of things with like reoccurring dreams, sometimes they like I said, things are like almost telepathic. Like it's um maybe you had a dream of someone, or so you were doing something, and then that happened, and then you had another dream that kind of went along with it, like almost like a part two or something, and then maybe that like also transpired in real life. I've had stuff like that. um but yeah, reoccurring dreams, I'm pretty sure I've had them, if not like the same exact. It's almost basically like the same exact dream, I'd say.
I mean, yeah, that's I've not only had dreams, the same dream far apart, but I'm also very prone to jumping right inside of the same exact dream. I'm talking to wake up, talk to Colleen or somebody else, do something else, go back to sleep, boom, I'm right back in the same dream. Um, that happens quite often for me. And I guess the whole idea of like asking and pondering about these things is just to see, just to build more understanding about what it is, because it is one of my probably largest curiosities is dreams and things of that nature. Like science, sorry, buddy, you're never gonna like fully explain dreams to me. I don't think, the fact that they think they can is another just I think overreach. It's up there with like dinosaurs in my opinion, and like the distance of galaxies and uh, the how long the Earth's been here and things of that nature. These crazy astronomical ideas they'll say like they know 100% on. Um, Meanwhile, they'll fully admit they don't know what's at the bottom of our ocean or where the bottom of our ocean is. Kind of like, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's. I don't think there's any one way of knowing what they are. I do believe in a great awakening though. I do think that at some point, and what I meant to bleed what I was saying, all of these concepts into that as well. Just the idea that there is a connection there because it's in my opinion, I think at some point we will all somewhat be on the same wavelength again. And that at some point we probably were, and that at some point we will again. And if that wavelength exists, then I believe that there's probably ways to tap into it. And more than likely, it does require subconscious to do so because our conscious minds are inundated with the matrix. We're in the matrix. We see the fakeness. That's all we see. All we can understand, all our eyes are trained to see is what we've been told. Like there's an old anecdote too about like the about like what it takes to be able to recognize something or see something for the very first time. Like the Native Americans, when Christopher Columbus sailed over, they say that they didn't see his boat until they looked for multiple days and saw the ripples on the water. And not until they understood that something was there were they able to see the manifested ship. They say that all they saw were like a split in the water that didn't make sense, and they were like, "What is that? What is that split in the water?" Until it wasn't because it was super far away. They can't see super far away, but once they understood that something was there, they began to be able to see the ship. Like they couldn't see it because they didn't know what a ship was. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just saying I think that is a. I don't know if that's like exactly they stand on that or if it was more of just like um, a metaphysical or like a philosophical approach to saying you don't see something until you can recognize what it is. Well, I think that kind of plays into we don't see the stuff that's right in front of our face because we can't possibly fathom it. And until we under and I think that's what the Great Awakening will be. I've had a dream about it too. It's spooky, dude. It's just been like, bro, it's this massive stage, this humongous stage, and I mean, as far as I know, everybody is there because I was in the middle of it, an endless sea of a crowd, and it was like dark gray. You could say, from what I remember, it's like orangey too. Like it was a very like you could easily tell me I was in hell too, or it was like an apocalypse because it was like some bright orange mixed in with like smoky black gray everywhere, and there was this massive stage, and there was a bunch of people on the stage, and they was just like I can't remember any single person, but they were like entertainers and musicians and stuff, and they all just like, you could just feel the sinister tingle when they turned around and revealed themselves. So it's just there was you in my head, like I filled in the blanks, and I knew that they were basically saying, you know, we're in on it. Like it's very, very, it's very reminiscent of what you could say that my brain was just like making a artistic rendition of what we are really living through, which is, the knowers being on the world stage and the unknowers being the ones that believe in the knowers. But I do think one day that everything will be revealed in that way, and maybe it'll be just like in our minds we'll understand who, because we'll be connected whether we like it or not. So we'll know who the liars are because it's written on their forehead. You know what I mean? They won't be able to hide it anymore because we'll be right in their head. We'll be like, yo, that's you? Oh shit. Okay. So, and it's biblical. That's relatively biblical. I mean, not that exact scenario, but they do say it. It is pretty much, that's kind of what they say, is that there will be a day where, the day of reckoning or whatever. There's no point in hiding. If you do bad things in your life, it doesn't matter if no one saw. And whether or not that's a future biblical reality or metaphysical reality, I do think it does play a part in your morals on this earth right this minute. I try to preach this to my son too, because I think it's somewhat innate nature, not to say it's the godly part of our innate nature, but to just try to get away with things as a kid. There's like this weird call to try to do somewhat bad things, some worse than others, and try to get away with it. And I try to explain to him, I'm just like, man, those moments, you got to fight that guy. Whoever that, just the same way I got to listen to my guy, you got to fight that guy in your head. He's a liar, bro. He's lying to you. You do not need to do those things to learn any lesson. There's no good that can come out of doing those kinds of things. And all will be revealed in a sense. And whether or not it's a biblical sense of it all will be revealed, I do think these things do reveal themselves in your lifetime. I don't think you get off with being evil scot-free. Even so, take that for what it's worth. But we are talking about dreams. Somewhere in all the things I said, I was still on the subject of dreams, if you can believe that. But yeah, I'll let you close us out with whatever whatever you want to, really. But let you finish this episode off here, because I feel like I've said my piece.
Absolutely, yeah, and like you said, you brought up one great point last week too, where you were talking about like blood flow and stuff too, and how big that is. That's huge too. I did forget to mention that last week. That's something too, like I'll kind of struggle with too, and it's like getting the blood to like I know, like a lot of times, like in the cold, like my hands will just like freeze up and I can't like if I walk outside and it's like 20, 30, 40 below, like my hands will just freeze up in like a quick second, and they're just like, they'll be like that for like 10, 20, 30 minutes till they get warm, and then I'm able to use them again. But blood flow, circulation, those are things I kind of struggle with, especially in the cold and stuff. I don't really get a lot of good blood flow, and it's just like it's I think it's a lot slower too to get going and stuff. And maybe sometimes I'll get it down in like my feet, my ankles, towards the end of my limbs, like my hands. Definitely, like I said, big and weird. I wonder sometimes if I have that issue too, because it's like I smoke weed, but I don't know if the weed has that big of an impact. Maybe it does a little bit. Maybe that hinders me a little bit, but um, yeah. And as far as like like the blood flow, like you mentioned, that was such a great point. I just wanted to touch on that again because that was something that was a big thing with health, and I know we're talking about health and all these other things that kind of all are somewhat of the same in dreams. And I just think that there's so much going on around us that like you were saying, that like perception of what we see. I think there's a lot more going on around us we're able to pick up. And I don't know if dreams and sleep and rest and all that, if that's where we're able to, I feel like we're able to tap into maybe uh possibly different dimensions, or just maybe tapping into uh different constructs of our mind and reality, and how it all really works and how it all mends together. um I think that dreams are, and it's like that drug, like DMT, everyone that takes it, they all experience the same exact thing. So who's to say that, and when it comes to drugs, who is to say that, that they are just all bad, or they all are, what they say they are. I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe they actually do allow you to see things that you can't see without taking the drug. It allows you to maybe see things that really are real and really are there, and maybe it does give you some kind of advantage or something, or knowledge, being able to see things or connect with things and learn things that you wouldn't even know even existed. And I feel like dreams kind of go hand in hand with that in a way. 'Cause a lot of times, like, maybe if you're on, you're dreaming, maybe it feels like you're on drugs, or it seems like you're on drugs in your dreams. Maybe, like, just the way how crazy or how random things could be. Sometimes things might seem more regular and more serious, or maybe not so much, as wacky. But um, like I said, I think there's a lot of stuff going on around us that we don't see and we don't know. And I think it's a strange world. And I think that dreams play such a huge role. And like I said, whether it's your health, you know, um, like I said, when it's like cold out, and it's people that get what is that? Like when it's cold and you get like you live in cold places, like your joint, like arthritis and stuff. Like, I know sometimes, like when I dream, sometimes, like if it's cold, like like I like it, like usually, like when I'm out and about and it's warmer, I like it when it's warmer. And I like but like when I sleep and I'm inside, I like it colder. But sometimes I feel like if it's cold, and and maybe I'm like bundled up, like that makes a lot easier for me to fall asleep. If I get that, or I'm cold and I get that, a blanket or something warm me up, that'll make me sleepy. Sometimes that can like trigger dreams um as well. um or maybe make it more easier to fall into a deeper sleep, to acquire certain dreams. Like some nights I go to bed, it's like I know that I'm going to dream. Maybe if it's cold out, and I feel like I maybe almost have arthritis already, and like I get in the bed and it's warm, and then it just makes me want to just pass out. Like I know when I was younger, I used to have, especially in the wintertime, um, like in Wisconsin, I was younger. I had tons of times where I was like falling asleep at the wheel, and it was really bad. Like especially in the wintertime, I'd be just so tired, and you're in the car and the heater's on, and you're all bundled up in your coat and your whatever, all the stuff, all the layers you got on, you get all comfy, cozy, and you're driving. Next thing you know, you're falling asleep, you're passing out. It's like, and then you catch yourself, then like you fall asleep and you catch yourself. Like I've had that happen so many times when I was younger, and I always wonder even what that was like, how I was able to fall asleep and then kind of catch myself and kind of drift off, and I catch myself, and it's just like you wonder. It's like, am I really catching myself, or is there someone or something kind of catching me? And it's just like, you wonder, like, sometimes we talk about like a god or gods, or creator, or the higher being, higher spiritual power. Sometimes I wonder if that's what we're dealing with too in our dreams. um Maybe sometimes, like, the messages we get, or the way something's being presented, uh, or maybe an understanding of something. I always wondered that as well. And I think, like I said, dreams are fascinating. They're something that y- I feel like, I feel like they do have a lot of meaning. um maybe you look up what it means. Like a lot of times, like I'm kind of 50-50. Like I'll dream of something. It's like, yeah, maybe maybe what it's saying is accurate, or maybe that is kind of going on right now. Maybe I do feel, lost or lack of control or something like that. You get a lot of those when you look up stuff like, oh, you feel lost in life, lack of control, or you're like something like that. And it's like sometimes I agree, and sometimes I don't agree. Sometimes it's like, maybe that's too vague. But um, yeah, I think that dreams can be a way for, especially people like us that have such an open mind when it comes to things. That I think that maybe that's what makes dreams, at least when I, like, a lot of times, like you said, and if you don't like write your dreams down, like sometimes I'll remember dreams that I had a long time ago. If they're real vivid, I might remember them from a long time ago, or I might be able to recall a certain dream or certain parts of a dream, um, or if I had a dream recently that in the last like year or so, or a couple years or few years, that was real vivid or something, I can recall it or whatever. But yeah, a lot of times, you get up and whatever you were dreaming, you do forget about it. And, we supposedly spend what, a third of our lives asleep. I mean, that's a long time. It's like me, like, living in Washington. I've been here for about a third of my life, so it's like I've spent that amount of time basically sleeping. That's crazy,
Mhm.
roughly. So, um, a lot of dreams have come and gone, and a lot has gone through my head that I can't even remember or process. And I think that within itself is also real crazy. And I think I believe there's reasons for that too. Like, this is your time to see this and deal with this and be a part of this, and then you go back to this world, this whatever. And like I said, if you experience with drugs or something like that, maybe you do unlock other dimensions. You do open up your brain and see things that are there. And I think all these things go hand in hand. And I think if more people took the time to maybe try and understand their dreams, or talk about their dreams, um, because you never know. I mean, you got people everywhere every day you see around, but you don't know what their dreams were in the last year or last week or last month, or what they dreamt last night or whatever. I mean, maybe they had a dream of you, and maybe they didn't even know you. Maybe they do know you, and something was maybe they had a dream that in a week, that you're gonna get in a car accident, or you were gonna there's this weird yellow package was gonna end up on your desk or something, or maybe you were gonna see this cat or this dog or just something random. You never know what other people are thinking and dreaming too. I mean, that's another thing. And that, if people communicated more with their dreams, maybe maybe we'd have a better understanding of our lives and what we're doing, and maybe what's maybe around the corner for one another. Uh, yeah, it's just it's amazing. It's like, where do we really go in our dreams? What are we really doing? What even is it? It's just this random cartoon. You go to bed at night and there's just this random cartoon, or what seems to be like this kind of random cartoon on your head, your brain, your mind. It's like, what even is that? I just feel like a lot of people don't really think about it. And um, yeah, and I think it's important to have dreams every now and then, at least, to the best of your abilities, just to kind of feel what it's like to just have your mind be somewhat free at night, and wherever it goes, whatever it means, whether it's a meaningful dream or not. Because I feel like there's too many things that have happened to me and I've seen in my dreams for it just to be just random cartoon. Maybe some are kind of random cartoons, but some seem a lot different. So I think that, um, like the topic of health and sleep, recovery, dreams, I think all of it goes hand in hand. And hopefully, like I said, like you were saying, more people, maybe they have something to say with their dreams, or maybe dreams that they've had, or what they think dreams are, what they think dreams mean, or if they think that, um, maybe they have ideas, or maybe they have maybe some knowledge on dreams. Because I just think it's a fascinating subject, because like you said, there's not really a right and a wrong, but there's kind of just something there, and we're all just trying to aim for the bullseye and kind of hit the nail on the head, and figure out what exactly is going on at night. And it's just, like I said, you spend so much time sleeping, dreaming, but you don't really remember and think of any of the stuff. So a lot goes through your head, but it comes, it goes. But you got to think there's more of reason for it than just some randomness.
I agree. And yeah, like you said, you're just working that out and having a sense of like a coalition to try to solve something. It's either that or we just take the mainstream the narrative on everything. I'd much rather, get people's personal experiences and life experiences and anecdotes and things of that nature than just just be another absorber of the mainstream narrative on everything. So yeah, guys, let us know. I put up several little blurb questions. Those would be good to get your guys' opinion on, but just overall, your opinion. We touched on, the benefits and uh, side effects of lack of sleep or good sleep, and we've also, talked about, what happens in said sleep for some people, and yeah, if there's anything, more specific you guys want us to cover on this subject too, yeah, obviously hit us up, and or if there's something else that you want us to cover, whatever that may be, um, feel free to drop it down in the comments, email us. It's scrolling across our screen currently. But yeah, guys, until next week, hope you guys all have sweet dreams, and see you in a week. Later.
Peace.